All right, good morning, everybody. Sorry for the slightly delayed start here this AM. Had a run, or went for a run this morning, and had a little bit too much fun out there. So it took a little bit longer, maybe than I anticipated. So apologies. But yeah, let's get after it here this morning, right, and figure out what we want to do here today. Kind of just like yesterday, right? We've got some Fed speak here, but that's primarily really the only element that is going to be kind of like sticky for us here today. And we'll see basically how markets react to that. It's been a generally relatively low volume climb in the last couple days. And so, although yesterday we're increasing volume standards, they're not like so big or so aggressive or so impressive that we can't take advantage basically of any of the momentum that is available to us in either direction. So yesterday, right, we had the thesis of being able to play rejections off of that upper end of resistance, right? Today, maybe we can look for some sort of alternative scenario where we can start to map things out. But with that being said, let's start mapping things out, team, here. Let's get going, figure out what we want to do here today, and hopefully set ourselves up for a successful trading day. Oh, and one last thing. So it's been a great run of form here for the last, say, 10 or so trading days, right? 7 green days in a row, finding a nice amount of momentum here in the market. And it's just understanding, right, that when things go well, our default reaction, or a lot of the times our default reaction as traders, is to basically start pressing, right? Start pressing and to be like more aggressive and to do all these things and to start to break our rules and to go bigger position sizing and to get greedy and to try to trade with, you know, more accounts and try to rush the process and to try to do all those sorts of things. But when things are going well, they're going well because we're being consistent with our behavior, being consistent with our process, right? Being consistent with our position sizing and building everything out from a risk management perspective first. When we then start to abandon those decisions and start to optimize for increasing our P&L in the middle of a winning streak, then that's when things start to really catastrophically work against you. And then it starts to really not end up being a very productive or profitable trading session. So the primary element here, right, for us to focus on this morning is focus on behaving like the consistent, systematic psychopath that I know I am, right? I've said this before, but I basically want to be the Richard Rodriguez of risk management, right? Like I want to be stalking my positions and my position sizing with such like fanatical, outrageous behavior that it would be like uncomfortable for most people to take that level of detail in how they're going to be managing their risk. And so that is for me the most important element on a day-to-day basis is how can I control that variable? How can I control basically my expectations with my position sizing and set myself up to stack up green days, not necessarily focusing on compounding green trades. All right, so with that being said, let's start mapping things out here, figure out what we want to do, and let's get started. So good morning, David, Salstein, Daniel, John, Juan, Samuel, Brian, Craig, Steven, Jen, Jeremy, Cordell, Jason, Jeff, Matt, Constantine, Tanja, and Mike. Hope you're all having yourselves a great start to the AM here. Good morning, Gabe, and let's get after it. Good morning, Nate. Good morning, Kenneth. All right, so what's the count here, guys? What's the count? Good morning, Randall. Good morning, Campfire. Yeah, and it's a weak 3 out of 3 here to the downside, right? So a couple things. Maybe this is still like a little bit of a trend line bounce scenario. Nice, Oz. Well, welcome back. All right, so we'd like to see probably a breakdown under like 58.50, right? If we're going to get a nice bit of conviction here to the downside. So let's start there, right? ORB fake out, maybe reject off that trend line. So ORB fake out off of and then break down under, right, 58.50. Well, that'll be our starting point here for a breakdown, right? And that's essentially like this point of support, if you want to call it that, right? That the market's been finding, excuse me, that's been finding a little bit of oomph off of in the last couple days. So let's see how it breaks down. Yeah, Jack, you've cursed us all here today, man. What's going on? That's definitely how it works. And then to the downside here, right, we keep going. If we get a bounce off of 58.50, right, that would be the scenario for our up case. Then, right, we can play a breakout back towards yesterday's high. So that's 59.20. Pre-market high, 59.10, so we can map that out there, start the day off. All right, cool. NQ, what's the count? How we feeling? Oz, you might be a little bit behind here. Yeah, 2 out of 3 here to the upside with volume. So slight divergence, right, between ES and NQ. NQ telling us kind of more bullish momentum. ES telling us more bearish momentum, right? Possibly at like a trend line support. So from like say early September, 1 point of contact, 2 points of contact, 3, 4, 5, maybe now the 6th point of contact here. So we'll say similar narrative like we had yesterday, right? Bounce off the trend line and go. And then an ORB breakout, we'll call it towards 2,500 first. And then we can go. If we're going to be bearish, well, now we definitely want to see a breakdown under 23.90. And the fake out would have to be at the upper trend line. So fake out around 25.50. That's still the same area. And then a breakdown here under, right, 23.50. And again, not too much is going to be changing from those levels. Make sense? Yes, no, maybe, hopefully. All right, cool. Crude. So yesterday, right, inside bar. Now possibly giving us a little trend line breakout. Good morning, Ben. And so, right, we're looking for an inside bar breakout, essentially. So ORB over the trend line. And then that's going to be targeting like 71.50, 72. And then maybe we can go all the way up to like 75. Good morning, Howell. Cool. And then to the downside here, right, a fake out above this trend line. So, I mean, we're at, I think a fake out around 71 again, right? Makes a lot of sense. And then break down towards these lows. So 69.50, nice, right? 68.50. So I think we got this relatively mapped out. And then we can kind of go from there. Seems pretty reasonable. Make sense? And then if we're looking from a volume perspective, what would we need to see this morning? Good morning, Don. Good morning, Ruben. Good morning, SG. What kind of volume, team? Good morning, Brian. Yeah, so we definitely need bigger than yesterday, right? At the very least. So we'd like to see, because yesterday was a day of consolidation, we need to get a high vol breakout, right, back over on bigger volume than yesterday. So if yesterday's volume standard wasn't enough for us to get that oomph, let's make sure, right, that we essentially get that standard. For whatever reason, guys, if you miss my prep in the morning, or you don't, you don't have time to watch or whatever, if you go into the Discord and you just click the link of my copied charts right under the FAQ section, it'll have the view only mode, will have my updated notes for the day. So once we do the prep, you can always click that, bring it up, and be able to see what my plan is. All right, Apple, green candle, decreasing volume, big gap down here. So 1 for 3 to the upside. And we'd still be looking for that bounce off this trend line, but we see a little bit. Hey, good morning, Luke. We seem to be a little bit maybe in no man's land here. And then breakdown. Probably under like 232. Cool. All right, Tesla. Man, this is the wickiest, nastiest price action I've seen in Tesla in like 8 months. So this is gross. Can't break down under this earnings range. Can't break out above. So we're still really looking for that sort of price action. It's going into earnings tomorrow. Is that correct? Yeah, so let's see how this thing behaves, but it seems like it's just setting up for that earnings cycle move. All right, Microsoft bounced off that green box pretty nice. Still stuck under resistance, so we'd like to see it probably break out over that 424 still. So 2 out of 3 to the upside without volume. And again, right, we're kind of seeing one story in one direction, one story in the other direction. So a very divergent structure here so far this AM. So again, no need for us to be hyper aggressive here today. This could end up being a little bit of a slower session, or at least it'll be slow until our stories sync up. Okay, Amazon, nice little trend line bounce again, but opening up in the middle of its range. So this is setting up as a little inside bar day, right? To the upside, needs to get over 191 to the downside under 186. Cool, cool. Okay, AMD, green candle, increasing volume, not outlier, gap down. So 2 out of 3 to the upside with volume. Maybe a little bit of a fake out lower. Not a fantastic fake out, but could be enough to say that bears are trapped for sure. So need to see a breakout over like 158. And then to the downside here, right under 154. Okay. NVIDIA. So a little bit of our psychopath lunatic at all-time highs. This thing does not stop, honestly. It's going to finally die when Pelosi does. So 144 breakout's going to be a starting point here. Right, or maybe a dip buy off of like 144. She is unbelievable. Like, if you ever really want to improve your stock market career and you want to become the best trader in the world, like, you know, you guys should ditch DTR the second you can get an internship on her desk. You'll do incredible things. Like, if she ever offers me an internship when I get down to the States, this stream will be shut down and I'll start making 200% a day. So, good luck, team. Well, I think if you start working with her hubby, it's probably like a little bit of a Diddy party going on. So I might have to stay away from that. All right, Meta, 3 for 3 here to the downside. Weak, 3 for 3 though. Yeah, exactly, Joe. Exactly. So 569 breakdown would be the starting point. And I'll say NA to the upside because it's still lower lows, lower highs after a trend line breakdown. I'm not going to be hyper aggressive on this. Okay, Netflix, higher high, higher low, decreasing volume. Never going to get more volume than yesterday's... than Friday's day, right? Post earnings. So not too surprising. But a breakout over 774 would have to be the starting point here. And then to the downside, I have pretty much no interest in selling into that big Friday volume. So I'm going to be pretty cautious here until that syncs up. All right. Google, maybe a little bit of a trend line bounce there, right? So now 1, 2, 3 points of contact on that trend line. We're looking for a trend line bounce over 164, right? Or a dip buy off of like 162. So, or a trend line bounce. And I'm going to say NA here to the downside. Although you could play that like 162.50 breakdown. I'm less interested in that here short term. Because if this wasn't enough for bears to kind of keep pushing us lower, I'm a little bit skeptical that we have that early momentum here. So I'm going to go NA in the short term. I'd rather be a day late than a day early on this. So let's see how it goes. And then VIX, 19.29. So definitely some good elements of volatility. I imagine we're going to be inside this range, right, for the next couple weeks, right, as we creep up closer and closer towards that election. So should mean that we do get some decent amounts of follow through when things do set up. But it's also probably going to be a situation where price action wants to be probably like a little bit frustrating, right, until we do get that breakout. So even if we think back to yesterday's price action, yesterday, right, we had to really fight to basically get our one trade of the day, right? We had to be really cautious, really wait for like one side to get trapped, the other side to get trapped, and then one side to finally break down. And today might be more of the same, where there's just like a lot of exchanges, right, of price action without giving us a strong level of enthusiasm. All right. Any questions here, team? Any questions? All right, fantastic, team. So we got about 5 minutes here till market open. You guys know the deal. Time for a quick cup of coffee. Spend a few minutes here visualizing a successful trading day. And then we'll jump back on here, set ourselves up for what should hopefully be a strong session. And let's keep the good times going. So be back in a few minutes, and let's get after it then. All right, team. So that's market open here. Let's see where this level of enthusiasm shows up, right? And then once it does kind of come together and gives us some nice scenarios, hopefully we can have ourselves a successful and strong trading day. Primarily though, right, we've got a relatively divergent tape. So mixed bag story, right, between the indexes and a lot of our leading names. So we're going to want to make sure, right, that things kind of sync up and get consistent before we do anything here too crazy. So if I'm like thinking about base expectations over how the day is going to shape up, I think I'm probably going to be a little bit more cautious to start the day off, right, than I am going to be aggressive. So it's a good volume pace right here so far, but I want to make sure that these stories are pretty much all in the same color, right? And then from there, right, I can look to take advantage of whatever momentum is available to me. So that's gonna be primary focus number one here, right? Make sure that the elements that I'm looking for here are, gentle, flexible, whatever we want to call it. And then once we do get that level of enthusiasm, we should be able to have ourselves some clean tape. In the short term, that might take just a few minutes for that to kind of get established. But it's a good opening range here so far, right? Decent size range. We're definitely on a larger volume pace than what we saw there yesterday. So let's see if basically everything can kind of just continue to sync up and give us that clean story. Didn't see anything here too crazy. Fine. We have Richmond Manufacturing. I didn't see that on this, but we have some Fed speak here. So 10 a.m. is going to be a little bit of an interesting one. Might have to just wait until that happens here, and then we can go from there. Fair? So already bigger volume on ES, right, which is positive. Good size range, right? 3 times more than what we saw there yesterday. Approximately 2.5 times more than what we saw there yesterday. And Q getting up there with volume as well. So we're in good shape here. But let's see basically consistency here. No divergence, right? Or a mixed bag. How are you guys liking these volume candles? So I say most of our leading names so far bearish, with a few exceptions. Okay, so NQ, a little bit of a fake out above. Again, base expectation here, right, is lots of traps, right? Once basically all the, for lack of a better term, dumb price action is stuck in the market here today, I think that's when we could finally get that nice follow through, a nice kind of consistency. Crude maybe with the exception here, right? Okay, now that's looking like a rejection. Fake out off of 70.91, but not a confirmation candle there. So again, we're going to be patient. NQ at 420. Snoop Dogg's favorite price. So again, relatively cautious start here this morning. No need to be hyper aggressive yet. Just one sec here, team. I'm going to go grab myself a hoodie. I'll be back in a minute. Again, have not missed out on anything here yet. Low volume breakouts aren't exactly enthusiastic for me. And, sorry, CL now maybe setting up, right? So 71 rejection. High vol breakdown here, setting up for sure. So let's see if this thing can continue to behave the way that we expect. Again, if this just ends up being a little fake out here as well, then that's going to be a good sign, right? That, hey, I need to be cautious. So we want this candle, right, to look like 1, 2, or 3. Right now, it looks like candle 5. So let's wait. That would mean a close around like 55, right, or lower, ideally. Not sure if we're going to get there. Close. We'll be close. Like what we want to see, right, is the body of the candle to be larger than the bottom wick. Right now, the bottom wick is larger than the body. And if it doesn't want to give me that look here, right, on the 3-min, I can always play this potentially on the 5, right, if it gives me that confirmation. But doesn't, like, that's not a good enough candle, right? I can't call that to be a strong bearish reaction. So for now, demands caution. And Q making higher highs on okay volume. So this could be in play here. Kind of seems like it's being driven by Nvidia, right? Maybe Meta as well. So let's see. Have to be the aggressive entry technique for now. So also watching NQ. Okay, that's definitely elevator. Stop would have to be around 426. And an entry under 46, right? So it would be a 1 contract play. Right, a 46 entry would be risking about $400, give or take. So I'm not going 2 contracts on that. That's 1 contract only. Right, I want my max loss to always be hanging around about $500 per trade. If I can't get that, then it's hard for me to want to take on that risk. And if the trade is strong, it'll give me more than 1 chance to enter. So no need to rush it. Okay, now I'm pulling back here potentially. Got close. So everything's set up here. And just watching this price action. It is a relatively tick-by-tick pullback so far. All right, guys, so I am in average price 445.75, 1 contract. All right, so far so good here, right? So far so very good. Up 265, 270. So let's see if this thing can keep breaking out, right? Keep pushing higher highs. A great move here to start the session off. Fantastic. 450, 460. There we go. Big pop. Fantastic. All right, and let's see if this thing can sustain now and keep breaking out. We seem to get maybe a little bit of a rejection there, right, at that trend line. So we'd like to see it get up and over that area, right, and push towards that 500 region. Ooh, that was a bit of a rejection now. Yeah, as once you start to see that really slow pullback, right, that becomes an opportunity to start looking for your entry. But this is dying on me here a little bit. Bit of a rejection right at that trend line. I'd like to see it close above 460. Needs to close above 460. Don't like that little pseudo rejection. Again, good volume, but we know a lot of that volume came up right on that stuff there. So again, we want to see this candle close with some strength. Not sure if it will. All right, guys, I am out. Fill price $459.25. Plus 270. So not a massive start to the session here, but I'll take a little win. Okay, so for now, looks like a good entry. Nice work, Derek. Yeah, probably the better fill. But that's okay. Good start to the day. I'll take that one for one. So is that's 3 days, Derek, for you, right, on the green here? What was the error, Cordell? And we definitely got the primo fill, so it's like that card in Monopoly. A bank fare in your favor gives you $200 or whatever it is. Nice work, Jeff. Yeah, it's a great start, team. Nice work, Dwayne. So we'll see if this thing can set back up. Now we got a few minutes till market open. Okay, interesting. Yeah, definitely the right call, right, for now. So, okay, price action didn't behave exactly how we wanted. But we'll take a little green day. How rare sometimes does it feel, right, for the first trade of the day to be green. It was good enthusiasm on that initial pop above, but then getting stuffed right at that trend line, that's like too suspicious, right? Nice work, Jen. I'm not jealous. I'm not jealous. I'm not jealous. So contextually, right? Good breakout, good enthusiasm, but got stuffed. Right? Got stuffed at that 480. So we have to be objective, right, with our analysis. That's not the right reaction. So I'd much rather take the small little win instead of getting potentially stopped out right at 426. Much more valuable to me. Oh, absolutely, Joe. I mean, even when I worked at a hedge fund, like, I've said this before, but my salary that I got paid there was pennies. So, you know, you kind of eat what you kill. All right, yeah, good call. Very good call. So Microsoft and Nvidia seem to be the psychos that were leading the charge. As Nvidia pulls back and Q pulled back, pretty similar looking chart. So again, don't feel like I've missed out on too much here. So congratulations on your trade as well. Plus 390, right? It's almost 400 bucks. It's like what, 600 bucks Canadian? Not a shabby day. Program's just paying for itself. Yeah, no bitterness here about missing this. Absolutely none. CL will probably need to get up and over that 71 handle for me to be interested. But now we're a couple minutes before any more chops. So I'd rather wait for basically the data to drop right before I do anything crazy. Nice work, D-Wayne. That's fantastic, man. I mean, Derek, you're a relatively new member. I can't imagine like just the progress you've made, right, in the couple weeks. It's totally different than how you're trading before, right? Yeah, which is for that focus on that risk management, right, that you've now started applying to your trading and just ditching that gambler's mindset. It makes all the difference in the world. So I'll love to see it. Yeah, it's not too shabby. Put it this way, there's not many jobs that will pay you that, right? I think we did the calculation yesterday, but we made like $60,000. We're getting paid a $60,000 an hour rate. So what this really reminds us, right, is that we get paid for our decisions, not our time. And when we get those good decisions, right, when they start to sync up, then the money sort of just takes care of itself. So optimizing for the quality of decisions versus optimizing for P&L leads to the P&L that we actually crave, right, on a trade-to-trade basis. And okay, right? $270 start to the day. It's not like the biggest trade here of my life, not by any means. But, you know, got 5 accounts going, getting close to a 6th passed. Yeah, CL, decent volume here. I'm going to wait for 10 a.m. And let this figure out what it wants to do. But that's a big move, right? Probably happening faster than one would expect. Right? It happened all in one candle, one 1-minute candle. So, like, I'd be a little bit cautious trusting this for now. But I'm going to wait till 10 a.m. at this point. Oh, I didn't make 60K in an hour yesterday. I wish. That would have been nice. But we were in a trade that, you know, made like 8K in 8 minutes or something like that. So, you know, that's where the projection comes from. So yeah, that's a big move on crude, but then also a pretty aggressive pullback here. Seems like must have been an algo buy at some sort. I wonder if there was I mean, I saw some narratives this morning about Israel-Iran getting going here a little bit. Now, for full disclosure, the news that I follow on Twitter is a very curated comical list, but this is hard to trust. I mean, that's biggest volume in a very long time. Since October 3rd, which happened 10 o'clock. But yeah, I'll say this now. If we ever do a DTR meetup in Vegas or something along those lines, we do a little conference of some sort, dinner will be on me. Strippers will be on Jen, but dinner will be on me. Yeah, CL's so the candle volume bars here, Dwayne, they're the exact same. They're basically exactly the same as normal candlesticks, except when you have a big volume bar, it just makes the candles fatter. So it just makes big volume candles kind of stand out just a little bit easier. And so I like the way that they look for whatever reason. They kind of just stand out to me just a bit more. So I like them a lot. So they tell me all the exact same information. The shape is all the same. They just get a little bit more obese when they're actually supported by a good volume standard. So yeah, feel good about not chasing CL here. It's an impressive move, but big dump and then a big, or big pump and then a big dump doesn't feel great. So far so good here. So far so good. Again, if markets want to chop around and all I get is the trade I had here today, that's cool too, right? Not every day is going to be a monster. Not every day has to be, quote unquote, like life-changing money. But if I just focus on my process, right, today, process-wise, still pretty happy with my decision. I'm going to be making more money long-term, right? So I'm not optimizing for what feels best in the moment. Because what would have felt best in the moment, right? Probably chasing CL. Probably bag holding NQ, right? And all of a sudden, that's a lot more stressful. You're probably starting to make mistakes that you don't normally make. And then when the trade actually does move in your favor, you tend to not get that max amount of follow through in your P&L because you made a mistake early, right? So I'm a big believer that mistakes compound. When you're in a winning trade and you, I don't know, go too aggressive with your position sizing, or you don't like your entry price, or something along those lines, then you generally tend to not get a fill, right? Or you tend to not close your position when it's like the most opportune time to do so. You end up getting a slightly compromised fill, right? Just because that mental capital is allocated towards basically trying to make sure that that mistake doesn't punish you instead of being able to trade your setup correctly. So for me, right, I'm never going to hold it against myself for making money by following my rules. That is ultimately like the most profitable, right, thing that I can do long term. Even if sometimes it means I'm leaving a few dollars on the table, I'm not going to be too bitter about that. Yeah, I don't see an early look here on crude yet. Maybe ES starting to look for downside opportunities. Couple fake outs above the opening range. If we could reject on some volume, could be interesting. But we're looking at a pretty choppy market here so far, bar a few exceptions. Like AMD not looking great. Nvidia was looking good early, now not so much. Meta getting stuck. Netflix getting stuck. Google, okay, Google and Microsoft seem to be the standards. Is that the one where it's like the more like the clearer path towards trading like live funds for them? Rusty, is that what you're talking about? Man, it is really cold here today. Very much a me problem. But very cold. Yeah, I don't think the reaction to the new Apex rules have been very good as well. I would say that I'm not as optimistic about those. I don't like the 30% unrealized loss. That for me is the Don't like that. Yeah, I think Top Step is the best because they have literally just the simplest program. Now, if you're going to be doing the to live function with My Fund Futures, that's pretty simple too. They have not too many issues. But just Top Steps generally seems to be the least amount of drama. My Fund Futures, good company, doing pretty well. But sometimes their CEO is a little bit of a child. Never heard of those companies. I'll have to look into them. All right, so now we're getting that breakout above 2,500. Let's see how this goes. Like Apex, great. But yeah, you have to follow the rules. You have to read, right, what you're agreeing to here and just have a little bit more understanding, right, of what your parameters are. Like if you want to just trade and go, I think Top Step is still the best. And every day I see these companies, it just makes me feel like I could do a much better product. Yeah, which is fair, Mike. It's absolutely fair. So good volume breakout here through 500. We'd be targeting a move towards 6. Second highest volume bar of the day here. Yeah, 100%, Mike. And with the risk management that we do, right, even if you're copying my sizing 1-to-1 on a 50K account, your max loss can be like $500, which I think is fantastic. All right, so back to looking at NQ here. I think both are pretty much the same. It'll be if I don't get an entry opportunity here on this 3-min, we'll switch to the 5. So targeting a move towards 600. That's a pretty big dump immediately. 30-point stop loss as is, far too much. Now 26, right? That's a pretty quick flush. Let's see if it finds support off that trend line maybe. Five-min at this point might be slightly preferential. But let's see how this candle closes. It's a little bit of a pullback. Deeper one than maybe one would like. I don't think it's a coincidence that it's bouncing off of that previous trend line support. But it went elevator down into that area and haven't really seen like elevator up. So it feels like that support's maybe just a little bit shaky here to start the day or start the morning off. Yeah, I mean, I talk about how I keep a safety net in all my accounts too, right? So, to a certain extent, a lot of their rules are basically just setting you up to uh, trade within like quote unquote best practices, right? But they also know their statistics, and I'm sure that for the vast majority of traders, they're kind of getting like one payout and just closing it all, right? So they're trying to disincentivize that. Well, I'm sorry, Rusty. I'm still gonna have to. I'm gonna have to keep. I'm gonna be selfish here. I like them just a little bit too much. Yeah, the DCA, like, that's a rule that encourages you to blow up more in general. So I'm not like super thrilled about that. Yeah, that's kind of why I like them, to be honest with you, Rusty. It makes things more obvious, in my opinion. So ES may be looking better than NQ now. Quick little 500 touch, right? And then breakdown on NQ. Doesn't feel fantastic. But still consolidating inside that candle. So we can get like a multi-candle consolidation and then breakout closer. That's a great entry, Oz. Sounds like a good day, man. Congratulations. Yeah, CL not moved since that big volume candle. That's pretty interesting. At this point, maybe that NQ 500 feels a bit like capitulation more than continuation. Nice work, Jeremy. Let's go. Great days here, team. Love to see it. Well, I hear like there's a few influencers. We'll call them that loosely. Yeah, like that just complain about everything because it gets them good engagement. Like Patrick Wieland, I think is his name. Who is just posting pictures of his leased Lambo. And constantly arguing with ICT traders. It's just annoying. Like, so many of these individuals, they act like children. I don't know, turn everything into high school drama when they're like 45. It's a little bit embarrassing. Just when I see people behaving that way, all I think about is that he's only looking out for his best interest, doesn't have any opportunity to like really not looking out for his team, he's looking out for himself. Yeah, he said he makes like $3 million a year from affiliate payments. So the only reason you get to that many affiliates is literally because your clients or your viewers are blowing a tremendous amounts of accounts. All right, so a little low vol pullback. A double inside bar here, right? So a high vol breakout over 520. Might be in play. So again, back to watching NQ here. Yeah, he got caught photoshopping his affiliate numbers recently. I don't know. My rule of thumb generally is those traders that are like flexing lifestyle stuff on you are generally the worst people to want to learn from. Yeah, he's there's a lot of garbage people in this community, unfortunately. I don't know, like the standard for ethics is already low enough in the financial world. Like there doesn't need to be a race to the bottom. Okay, so as is, right, still could be in play here, but the sizing that we're getting, right, a 25-ish point stop loss. It's like just right on the cusp here of what would be acceptable from an entry. So I'd like to see it tighten up just a little bit more here. So if I could do this, that would be better. Then you get an entry off of 20, then you're risking 400 bucks. Okay, right, we're fine. Yes, a little bit of a flush there I saw in my peripherals. Okay, so now I'd have to be back to this. So again, like you'd have to buy just a little bit of a pullback, right, to justify the risk here. So still not obviously ready to pull the trigger. Don't even have my order window set up. Just sort of watching what this price action is doing so that I have a clear picture in my head, right, without any extra pressure on myself to feel like, oh, it's showtime. Crude's still stuck. Excuse me. Okay, well now, right, this is getting less and less appealing. Right, because the risk reward, I can't justify the position sizing I want here. So I'm going to say no setup at the moment. Again, all we're doing, right, is we're just defining how we want price action to move. And then if it doesn't give us that exact behavior, I'm not going to give myself any stress, right, unnecessarily. I don't even have like an obvious rejection set up here either. So I might be on hands here for a little bit now. Glad to have gotten an early win. Removes a lot of pressure, right, that we might put on ourselves. But no reason to be super aggressive here short term. Okay, yeah, good call here, right? Very good call. So that thesis we had of it possibly being capitulation on that 500 touch seems to be getting a little bit more traction. Yeah, CL bit bait as well. Excuse me. Okay, so again, a little bit of a fake out. I kind of saw this maybe as like a little bit of a trend line. Apologies. I don't know why I'm yawning so much all of a sudden. I've had enough coffee. think it's probably too aggressive to play this rejection on CL as well. So, choppy internals. I mean, besides Microsoft, Amazon, everything else, pretty nasty. So, okay, there's a couple exceptions, right? But not enough of them to think that we have that consistent story here yet. It's 10:30. Green on the day. I'm not sure how aggressive I'm still going to keep being here. Right, the thing that's important to note, right, or to kind of value in ourselves is that green days turn into green weeks, green months turn into, green weeks turn into green months, right? Green months turn into FU to your boss. So I'm not trying to optimize for like the biggest P&L here today, right? I'm not trying to justify taking on the most amount of risk to get that all done in one go. I'm trying to make the decision that is best for me long term. And right now, if I'm looking at my analysis, looking at how the market has behaved, it's kind of behaving how we talked about, right? It's given us kind of a weak breakout. It's getting a little bit stuck. We're not seeing those narratives necessarily sync up and be very consistent. So if that's the case, right, then you're expecting choppy, kind of nasty, stressful trading conditions. And so I would rather choose to not take on that stress than I would, be stressed out to make a couple extra bucks, right? For me is less valuable. So we need to see stories, become a little bit more appealing, right? Before I'm willing to take that next step. And I'm not sure if I'm there yet. Microsoft lunatic. But everything else kind of looks subpar. Oh, I know, Rusty, from the surge days. Man, you absolutely rinsed them. Hope you feel bad about taking down a company. Yeah, it's pretty epic. Honestly, DTR did some pretty serious P&L damage to those guys. Easily responsible for like 150K a month. Oh yeah, and we're always going to keep evolving. We're always going to keep getting better. We're going to keep finding better opportunities for us. I mean, how nice is it trading without like $2 of slippage? Like, that's pretty fantastic. Oh yeah, we're just getting started here, Dwayne. Absolutely. We were trading stocks a lot when they were offered by prop firms. So my institutional background was doing trade execution for an equity-based hedge fund. Oh, that's absolutely what my objective is, Rusty. Like, at some point here, and not anytime soon, but, you know, probably in the next 10 years or so, gonna have a family, gonna have other priorities that are maybe more valuable to me than being on YouTube streaming all day. And so I don't want to fish for you guys. I want to teach you how to fish so that you can be your own independent traders. It's why I share my journey so transparently. All right, it'd be easier for me to just say the trades that I'm in after they're already wildly profitable and I can cherry pick like a lot of individuals. But ultimately that would just do you harm and make me more money, which is not the right way to do things. At least for myself, when I think about my own evolution as a trader, it was the transparency of seeing other people going through the ups and downs of how they dealt with them, how they survived them, you know, how they talked about losing, how they talked about winning, the amount of beers they drank when they had a red day, the amount of beers they drank when they had a green day. That ultimately taught me more than just like making money. Oh yeah, yeah. There are a couple trades from the old DTR that really stand out. So that Tesla one was, yeah, like 600%. We bought, or no, we sold right as Elon was selling his position. So the volume that we ended up seeing was actually Elon dumping, and we played that for like, yeah, 600% in a couple minutes. That was nuts. And then there was one trade, I think it was in Nvidia, where entered it, or thought I entered it, had some connection issues, and then it like dumped, and I couldn't get a hold of my broker to sell my position, and I thought I was down like 80% on 60K, and it turns out that the order actually never filled. That was probably the most stressed I've ever been in my entire life. I remember that like it was just yesterday. Yeah. Well, Steven, we've basically been trading futures exclusively since like February or so, with like a couple swing trades, but nothing too nuts. Honestly, the switch to futures has been fantastic. I've loved it so much. It's been a lot more profitable as well. So I don't see myself switching anytime soon here. The leverage, the liquidity, the ease of execution, the consistent follow through you get. It's a nice edge. But yeah, Russ, much like yourself, we got a few OG members in here that have done really, really well for themselves over the last couple of years. And it is really, honestly, incredible to see the progress. Yeah, we did trade options for a little bit, especially around the pandemic. So like those that Nvidia trade I was talking about was was options. Trading Tesla, that 600%er was trading options. I didn't see how many trades you could take per day changing Oz, personally. But yeah, at this point, I'm not sure how much action I'm going to get here still this afternoon. Or this morning. I think so, yeah. Excuse me. So top left-hand corner, Don, there's like a bunch of different time frames. If you just click them, it'll change it. If you click the 10 as well, you can change that to be whatever you want. But it's kind of like top left-hand corner. You'll be able to click and cycle through all the various time frames. So it's like just above where you see E-mini futures 5 CME. There'll be 1 minute, 3 minute, and the time frame that you're currently on. Oh, it might just be the text type that you're using. So I use an anchored text. You might just have the normal text. If you change that in your settings to be the anchor text, it'll stay where it is. Whereas the text will be just where it is on the daily time frame. So you might need to change it to anchored text for when you set up your text. Steven, the links, if you try to post them inside the YouTube chat, it won't work. You mean like these squiggly lines here? So that's just the DTR ORB indicator. It looks like that on the daily. On the the shorter term time frames, those end up being these lines. So those are our profit target lines. So on the daily time frame, it looks a little bit messy, but on the 5 and 10 minute, it behaves the way it's supposed to. DTR ORB is the opening range breakout indicator. So it's this green box and these red lines. It is basically a coded up visual of this strategy document. Yeah, it's pretty disgusting, eh, Steven? Just chop, chop, chop. So we've done a pretty good job here, I think, just taking our small little win, and that's it. No real edge here left in the morning by the looks of it. Yeah, this thing's a beast. Impressive move. Great little trend line breakout. Hey, anytime you can upgrade your caffeine intake, that's a good day. Yeah, realistically, team, I do not see myself placing any further trades here. So I don't see what's going to change, right, for the remainder of the session. Kind of just looks like a slow market that kind of started, right, when Hawker started speaking. So, I mean, I have very few options in Canada here, Mike, but I love interactive brokers. In your evaluation stage, Gabe, it won't reset your account. You'll just get charged another month. Yeah, Mike, I do. Yeah. Take a look at Annette. Well, it depends on how close to your progress is. Enjoy, Karat. It's going to be beautiful in Connecticut here this week, so have a great time. So 379. I mean, I'd probably just go low of this red candle here, right? Like 380, 250. If that doesn't act as support, yeah, I would probably just keep it there. So it really depends on how close you are to passing or failing, Gabe. If you're within like a couple $100 of failing or whatever, then sure, probably pays a little bit more to be aggressive. If you're within a couple $100 of passing, I'd probably just suck it up and keep going. What's your thesis on this? I mean, 360 is a great price. I don't know. Maybe at some point it's worth just thinking, hey, maybe I should get out of this and just take my profits. So how much do you have, what's your balance at? So I would see, you know, how it, basically how you perform over the next, whatever, like coming up and towards your payday, right? If you're, you know, within a couple $100 of your starting balance, then okay, maybe you can be more aggressive like the day of. But I'm generally not a huge fan of like creating a bad habit to try to pass something. So if you get a good opportunity, cool. Maybe, you know, increase your position sizing short term. But, yeah. How you do one thing is how you do everything, right? So if you pass your eval account with a gamble, you know, as you get close towards that first payout, maybe you'll start to think, hey, oh, I can just go full YOLO punt on this. And then things get a bit nasty. Yeah, it's got to be 50% or less. Your max day can't be more than 50% of your evaluation target in a single day. If it does, then you're going to have to take, they'll increase your number that you have to hit before you pass. Sounds good, Rusty. Enjoy your day, man. Sounds good, Jay. Congratulations on your $1,000 day. That's awesome work. You should be very proud. I mean, not really. Like, I'll look at the, like, you can look at this, kind of. But it doesn't give me that much extra information. Their website will have all the rules, Brett. If you go into the Vetted Prop Firms channel as well, on the Discord, there's a ton of discussion about it. Any questions here, team? Any questions? Anything you guys want to go over? For me, happy to be green. And yeah, nice little streak coming together here, right? 8 green days in a row. I think like 15 for 20 from my last 20 trades. So not bad at all. I don't know what their exact margin requirements are, Mike. I would look into that or contact a rep. Yeah, honestly, like, I don't know. Truth be told, the amount I have in my interactive brokers is a lot more than that. So I never really looked into it. I don't mean to say that in like a douchey way or anything along those lines. It just was never a concern. I appreciate you saying that, Steven. We do our very best here to try to make sure we're always learning, improving, and sharing kind of the ups and downs of what this game is. We'd love to have you a part of the team. I'm sure you'd crush it with us. So let me know if there's anything I can do to help. But as you've seen, right, from other members and other discussions, we're here to try to help everyone win. And that's sort of what the objective is. So I'd love to have you in here full time. And let's start kicking some butt, man. So someone was asking about ES. Nice work, Don. So Oz, for me, ES would have to get above its previous high a day, so 55 or 581-ish on volume for me to trust a breakout. But the time of day that it's occurring would make me think that it's more likely to happen in power hour versus now, right? So historically, markets will make their high of day most often in the first sort of 90 minutes. It's like 63 or 64% of the time. And then tends to kind of chop about, stay sticky, not give you anything over that lunchtime period. Like Wall Street lunches are like 4 hours. Not quite, but they're pretty aggressive. And then, you kind of get that next opportunity. The most likely time where you make a new high a day or a new low of day is during the power hour time frame. So kind of like last 90 minutes of the session. So it would have to be like a very outlier among outlier move for me to trust basically any breakout above high a day that would give you follow through towards, say, 59 or 58.90, maybe 5900. And there's nothing here in today's price action that has really suggested that it's like an outlier trading day, right? So for me, it's kind of been pretty choppy. Slow grind up, slow grind down, right? Slow grind up, slow grind down. Your first bit of a faster grind, that wouldn't give me enough conviction to think that, hey, this time is different. So I would be very uninterested in that until maybe that power hour breakout, where then at least statistically things are a bit more, in my favor. Does that make sense? No worries, Oz. Well, glad to have you back in here, man. Always appreciate the questions. Yeah, sounds good. All right, team, final call for questions here. Final call for questions. Yeah, you too, Mike. Enjoy, man. All right, team. Well, if no further questions, I'm going to kill the stream here for the day. Great trading day there, everybody. Nice to keep stacking them up, right? Like I said, 8th green day here in a row. So no complaints about that, right? Finding our form here again after, a little bit of a challenging period there for a couple days. But nice to see a new all-time highs in the portfolio, right? Constantly thinking about our risk management, constantly controlling the variables we can't control. And that ultimately is creating the success that we want to have, right? So not every day is going to be a monster like yesterday. Not every day is going to be a slow one like it is here today. But the more consistent we are with our execution and with our kind of, risk management and our position sizing and our entry timing, then generally the better things go for us, and we can kind of get the average of all of those days here combined. So let's keep stacking them up, team. Let's keep having ourselves some great progress, and looking forward to building on what has been a fantastic week here so far with you all here tomorrow. So have yourselves a great day. Looking forward to catching up with a few of you here in our one-on-ones later this afternoon. And in the meantime, we'll chat then. So see you guys all tomorrow. If you're a DTR guest, get in contact with your DTR rep. They'll make sure they're setting you up for a successful and consistent outcome here. I'm looking forward to having you all as a part of the team. As you've seen, right, from all the members that shared their experiences here today, we're here to help you succeed, and we're on your side, not on anyone else's. So looking forward to having and working with you all in a little bit more detail. And let's keep crushing, compounding, and stacking up those wins. Have a great day, team. Talk soon, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.